Buying a cheap Harley can either make you look like the smartest rider on the road or the biggest fool in the parking lot, because some used Harleys are absolute money pits, hiding behind chrome and nostalgia. But others, they are practically indestructible. Motorcycles owners have ridden for hundreds of thousands of miles without ever wanting to replace them. Today, we are exposing 15 affordable Harleys that still dominate the used market in 2026. The maintenance traps, the bulletproof engines, the bike's mechanics secretly respect, and near the top of this list sits one Harley so brutally reliable, riders still refuse to let it die. Number 15, Harley-Davidson Street 750. For years, many Harley riders treated the Street 750 like the outsider of the family. It did not sound like the older air-cooled cruisers. It did not shake with that familiar old-school rhythm. And to traditionalists, that alone was enough to dismiss it. But time has a funny way of exposing which motorcycles actually survive ownership and which ones simply survive internet opinions. The Street 750 quietly became one of the least expensive paths into real Harley ownership. And for thousands of riders, that mattered far more than chrome prestige or parking lot attention. Its liquid-cooled Revolution XV twin brought a smoother, calmer personality that felt especially well-suited to city riding, stop-and-go, traffic, and everyday commuting. The power delivery stayed friendly, the controls never felt intimidating, and the overall experience lowered the barrier for riders who wanted Harley character without heavyweight stress. Used pricing now makes the bike especially attractive. Many clean examples trade hands between roughly $3,500 and $6,500, putting genuine Harley ownership within reach of riders who refuse to bury themselves in massive monthly payments. That does not mean the Street is perfect. Early bikes developed reputations for budget suspension, heat near the legs during slow riding, inconsistent finish quality, and occasional electrical complaints. Neglected city bikes can also hide hard lives beneath clean paint. So before buying one, pay close attention to service history, coolant condition, idle smoothness, wiring health, clutch feel, and uneven tire wear that may hint at crashes or careless ownership. Still, there is one reason the Street 750 earns its place here. Someone else already absorbed the painful depreciation years ago. Today, buyers get an affordable Harley with modern road manners, manageable ownership costs, broad parts access, and enough real-world durability to keep rolling for many years when properly maintained. If this video saves you from buying the wrong Harley, do us one favor, smash that like button and subscribe. Because finding motorcycles that are actually worth owning for the next 20 years takes hundreds of hours of research, and we are just getting started. And the next motorcycle takes this conversation somewhere entirely different, because sometimes the Harley riders trust the longest is not the modern one at all. Sometimes it is the brutally simple machine that barely changed because it never needed to. Number 14, Harley-Davidson Sportster 883. Some motorcycles disappear quietly after a few years. The Sportster 883 did the exact opposite. It stayed alive through changing trends, economic crashes, emission crackdowns, and entire generations of newer motorcycles because riders kept discovering the same thing. This machine simply worked. The biggest reason traces back to Harley's Evolution engine, the power plant that helped rebuild the company's reputation after years of reliability criticism. In the 883, that air-cooled V-twin became something almost legendary among long-term owners. Simple to understand, affordable to maintain, and supported by one of the largest aftermarket networks in American motorcycling, the Sportster earned trust the old-fashioned way, mile after mile. Used pricing remains one of its strongest weapons. Older carbureted examples often sell between roughly $3,500 and $6,000, while cleaner fuel-injected models usually land somewhat higher. And despite those approachable prices, many continue running strongly after decades of ownership. Of course, no Harley is flawless. Older, rigid-mounted versions vibrate heavily at highway speeds, and neglected bikes can develop charging problems, oil seepage, worn belt drives, or tired suspension components. That is why inspection matters. Look closely at electrical health, transmission smoothness, rubber mounts, and maintenance records before committing. Still, the Sportster 883 represents something many newer motorcycles quietly lost: mechanical honesty. No overwhelming electronics, no impossible repair bills, just a straightforward American V-twin with proven durability and enough character to keep riders emotionally attached long after the payments disappear. But after a few years, many long-term owners hit the same wall. They want the same bulletproof Evolution reliability without feeling underpowered every time the highway opens up ahead of them. That exact frustration is what pushed buyers toward the next answer. Harley already had waiting in the shadows, a machine that kept the same soul, but finally added the muscle riders wish the smaller bike had from day one. Number 13. Harley-Davidson Sportster 1200. The Sportster 1200 spent years being labeled a temporary Harley, the kind riders supposedly outgrow after a season or two. Yet thousands of owners ended up doing the exact opposite. They kept these motorcycles for decades because the formula simply made sense. Strong torque, manageable size, affordable upkeep, and an engine that earned genuine, long-term trust. Built around Harley's Evolution V-twin, the 1200 carried the same durability reputation that helped to restore confidence in the brand during the late 20th century. The engine stayed mechanically straightforward, easy to service, and remarkably resilient when maintenance was handled properly. That matters enormously when discussing motorcycles meant to survive far beyond warranty years. Used values remain surprisingly reasonable, especially considering how many of these bikes continue running reliably after enormous mileage. Still, buyers should inspect carefully for clutch wear, charging issues, gasket seepage, and aging suspension components. What makes the Sportster 1200 special is not luxury or technology. It is the feeling that the motorcycle was built to be ridden instead of replaced. And if this kind of old-school Harley durability already sounds impressive, just wait until later in this countdown when we reach the machine many longtime riders quietly trust for crossing massive mileage without drama. Some owners bought those bikes decades ago and still refuse to let them go today. But bringing the focus back to the Sportster, that lasting owner loyalty is exactly why these motorcycles continue holding their value so well in the used market. But for taller riders or people planning serious long-distance ownership, the compact Sportster frame can eventually start to feel limiting. And once riders began searching for something roomier, more customizable, and built around bigger mile comfort, the next direction became impossible to ignore. A platform that helped define Harley's raw street identity for an entire generation. Number 12. Harley-Davidson Dyna Super Glide. The Dyna Super Glide is where many riders finally stop trying out Harley ownership and step into something that feels authentically big twin. The chassis feels larger, the torque arrives with more authority, and the entire motorcycle carries that unmistakable heavyweight Harley Pulse riders imagine long before they ever buy one. What makes the Super Glide especially compelling today is how affordable that experience has become. Clean used twin cam examples often trade between roughly $5,500 and $9,500, while some older Evolution-powered bikes still surface below $6,000 with careful shopping. That value becomes even more interesting once you understand the engine story. Evolution Dynas earned reputations for durability and mechanical simplicity, while later twin-cam versions added stronger performance but introduced the well-known cam chain tensioner concern. Thankfully, the Harley world understands this issue thoroughly now, and many properly serviced Dynas continue covering enormous mileage reliably. Inspection still matters enormously. Watch for careless modifications, oil leaks, charging issues, rough suspension, and missing service documentation before buying. But even loyal Dyna owners admit there comes a point where some riders want less shake, cleaner styling, and a chassis that feels more refined over the long haul. That demand is exactly why the spotlight shifts to the next machine, a Harley that hid modern comfort underneath old-school lines so convincingly that many riders still think it represents the purest balance Harley ever built. Number 11. Harley-Davidson Softail Standard. The Softail Standard proves something many riders eventually learn the expensive way. More technology does not always create a better Harley ownership experience. While newer touring bikes chase giant screens, endless electronics, and luxury features, the Softail Standard stays focused on the essentials that actually matter after years of riding. That simplicity is exactly what gives this motorcycle its long-term appeal. The hidden rear suspension preserves the classic hardtail silhouette Harley riders have loved for generations, while the big twin platform delivers that deep, unmistakable V-twin character people associate with traditional American cruising. Ownership, reality depends heavily on maintenance history. Earlier, twin-cam versions require attention to cam chain tensioner servicing, while neglected examples may develop charging issues, suspension fatigue, oil seepage, or compensator noise. Thankfully, these concerns are extremely well understood throughout the Harley community, and parts support remains massive. Clean-used twin-cam Softail standards now commonly sell between roughly $6,500 and $10,000, making them surprisingly attainable for a full-size Harley. What makes the Softail Standard compelling is how honest it feels. No overwhelming complexity, no unnecessary distractions, just timeless styling, accessible mechanicals, and the kind of relaxed road presence riders can realistically imagine keeping for decades. So now we want the real owner perspective. Have you ever owned a twin-cam Softail? Did that stripped-back Harley experience become exactly what you wanted long-term? Or did you eventually regret not going newer? Leave a comment below, because riders searching the used market today need honest ownership experience from people who actually lived with these bikes for years. And the next Harley shifts the conversation towards something entirely different: true long-distance touring comfort at prices that seem almost unreal in today's motorcycle world. Number 10. Harley-Davidson Road King. The Road King earned its reputation by understanding something many touring motorcycles forgot long ago. Comfort does not need to come wrapped in overwhelming complexity. This machine delivered genuine cross-country capability without drowning riders in expensive electronics, oversized fairings, or luxury features that become repair bills years later. That balance is exactly why the Road King remains one of the smartest long-term Harley purchases on the used market. It was built to cover serious miles comfortably. Large saddlebags, stable highway manners, relaxed ergonomics, and massive aftermarket support help these motorcycles become trusted companions for riders crossing entire states year after year. Of course, inspection remains critical. Older touring bikes may develop suspension fatigue, charging issues, wheel bearing wear, compensator noise, or oil seepage if maintenance was ignored. Early twin-cam models also require proper cam chain tensioner servicing to avoid larger repair costs later. Still, what keeps the Road King relevant decades later is how confident it feels. Solid, dependable, uncomplicated. The motorcycle never tries to impress you with gimmicks because it already understands its purpose. Clean Evolution-powered examples from the 1990s often trade between roughly $6,000 and $9,000, while twin-cam versions usually land somewhere between $7,500 and $13,000, depending on mileage and condition. Considering the amount of motorcycle involved, that pricing still surprises many riders. But not every long-distance owner wants naked bars and full wind exposure mile after mile. Eventually, many riders begin searching for more protection, more weather comfort, and a machine designed around surviving thousands of highway miles without beating up its owner in the process. And that search opens the door to the next step forward, a touring Harley that became a full-scale road legend for exactly that reason. Number 8. Harley-Davidson Heritage Softail Classic. Some Harleys earn admiration the moment people see them. The Heritage Softail Classic earns something much harder over time: trust. Because underneath the white wall tires, chrome trim, leather saddlebags, and nostalgic styling sits a motorcycle that has quietly proven itself through years of dependable ownership. This is the kind of Harley riders buy expecting a weekend cruiser, then somehow keep for decades. Part of that loyalty comes from how naturally the Heritage balances classic character with real-world usefulness. The riding position stays relaxed for longer. Highway stretches, the chassis feels planted without becoming exhausting, and both the Evolution and later twin-cam generations built reputations for surviving serious mileage when properly maintained. Earlier twin-cam models do require attention to cam chain tensioners, but the Harley world understands those fixes extremely well today. Used pricing is where the Heritage becomes especially compelling. Clean older examples often cost dramatically less than newer touring bikes, while still delivering the same sense of presence, comfort, and long-haul confidence. Buyers should still inspect fork seals, charging systems, suspension wear, oil leaks, and poorly executed custom wiring before committing. But once sorted, the Heritage Softail Classic becomes more than transportation. It becomes part of a rider's routine, their travels, their memories, and eventually their identity. And strangely enough, the next Harley became legendary by doing almost the complete opposite, stripping things down to mechanical simplicity so effectively that many riders now consider it one of the smartest long-term Harley investments ever built. Number 7. Harley-Davidson Fatboy. Few motorcycles ever become bigger than the industry that created them, but the Harley-Davidson Fatboy crossed that line years ago. Even people who have never ridden a motorcycle recognize its massive stance, solid wheels, and unmistakable road presence. But what makes the Fatboy truly impressive today is not its fame. It is how surprisingly smart it has become as a long-term used Harley purchase. Clean Evolution-powered Fatboys now regularly appear between roughly $7,000 and $10,000, while twin-cam models commonly range from about $8,500 to $14,000, depending on condition and mileage. That gives riders access to one of Harley's most iconic machines for far less than many modern cruisers. The Evolution ERA earned legendary respect for durability and mechanical simplicity, while twin-cam versions brought stronger performance with proper cam tensioner maintenance. Buyers should still inspect charging systems, wheel bearings, fork seals, suspension wear, and poorly executed aftermarket wiring carefully before purchasing. Yet despite its weight and old-school character, the Fatboy still delivers something many newer motorcycles struggle to offer: presence. It feels substantial, memorable, and unmistakably American every time it leaves the garage. But after years of ownership, some riders begin wanting something that feels more responsive, more agile in traffic, and less demanding at lower speeds without giving up that unmistakable Harley character. That shift in priorities is what pushed experienced owners toward the next machine. Number 6, Harley-Davidson Dyna Low Rider. The Harley-Davidson Dyna Low Rider earned the kind of reputation manufacturers cannot engineer in a boardroom. Riders built it themselves through years of loyalty, high mileage, customization, and real-world ownership. In fact, after Harley discontinued the Dyna platform entirely, demand only grew stronger. That alone tells you how deeply this motorcycle connected with people. The Low Rider became the sweet spot in Harley's lineup. It carried enough big twin torque to feel authentic on the highway, yet stayed leaner, lighter, and less intimidating than full touring machines. It never tried to overwhelm riders with luxury or unnecessary complexity. It simply focused on delivering a raw, satisfying riding experience riders could actually live with long-term. Clean twin. Cam examples now commonly range between roughly $7,500 and $13,000, while older Evolution-powered versions sometimes sell for even less if you search carefully. Earlier twin-cam models do require cam chain tensioner inspection, especially on pre-2007 motorcycles. Buyers should also examine charging systems, motor mounts, fork seals, suspension wear, and heavily modified wiring work before purchasing. But once sorted properly, the Dyna Low Rider becomes something increasingly uncommon in modern motorcycling, a machine that still feels mechanical, repairable, and deeply personal every time the engine fires to life. By now, one thing should be crystal clear. The motorcycles with the biggest real-world loyalty are not always the newest ones sitting under dealership lights. They are the Harleys that survived decades of abuse, neglect, road trips, and ridiculous mileage, and somehow kept going anyway. So if you appreciate real motorcycle research instead of recycled marketing nonsense, drop a hype below and subscribe to join the tribe. And strangely enough, the next Harley built its entire reputation around pushing that mechanical simplicity even further. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Road Glide. This is where the countdown starts moving into motorcycles that have already proven themselves across decades of real highway riding. The Harley-Davidson Road Glide was never built for short attention spans or temporary ownership. It was built to cover serious miles year after year while keeping riders comfortable enough to keep chasing the horizon. And that purpose still shows today. Used twin-cam road glides from the early 2000s through the mid-2010s now commonly sell between roughly $7,000 and $13,000, depending on mileage, condition, and upgrades. Considering how capable these motorcycles remain, that value is honestly difficult to ignore. The shark nose fairing became famous for highway stability and wind protection, helping the Road Glide develop one of the most loyal owner communities Harley-Davidson has ever seen. Many riders switched to this platform once and never looked back. Earlier, twin-cam models still require buyers to verify cam chain tensioner updates, along with careful inspection of suspension wear, charging systems, fork condition, electronics, and maintenance history. But once properly maintained, these motorcycles routinely survive enormous mileage with remarkable consistency. What makes the Road Glide special is not flashy technology or luxury gimmicks. It is trust. Riders trust these motorcycles to carry them across states, across years, and sometimes across entire chapters of life. And somehow, the next Harley became an even more unexpected bargain for riders thinking long-term. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Softail Deluxe. Some motorcycles age gracefully. The The Harley-Davidson Softail Deluxe almost refused to age at all. Years later, it still carries the same deep chrome shine, sweeping fenders, and old-school silhouette that made riders stop and stare when it first appeared. But the real reason this motorcycle earned its place in this countdown has nothing to do with appearance alone. It is because the Softail Deluxe quietly became one of the safest long-term Harley purchases a rider can make. The later twin, Cam 96 and 103 engines built especially strong reputations once properly maintained. Earlier examples still require buyers to verify cam tensioner updates, while older motorcycles should also be inspected carefully for charging system wear, leaking fork seals, aging suspension components, and poorly installed aftermarket accessories. But what makes the Softail Deluxe stand out is how beautifully it balances simplicity with emotional appeal. The low seat height feels welcoming. The riding posture stays easygoing for longer days, and the mechanical design remains familiar to independent Harley mechanics nearly everywhere. That matters more than people realize, because motorcycles built around timeless fundamentals usually survive changing trends far better than motorcycles built around temporary technology. Clean twin-cam Softail Deluxe models today commonly sell between roughly $6,500 and $11,000, depending on mileage, condition, and service history. That places them dramatically below the cost of newer Milwaukee 8 Harleys, while still delivering the unmistakable feel many riders actually want from a Harley-Davidson. The Softail Deluxe proves that older Harleys can still deliver timeless style without punishing owners financially year after year. But once riders begin spending serious time in the saddle, especially with passengers or long highway weekends, style alone stops being enough. Comfort, storage, weather protection, and mile-eating capabilities suddenly matter a whole lot more. And that growing demand for full-scale touring comfort is exactly why the next chapter of this countdown belongs to one of the most road-proven long-distance Harleys ever built. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Ultra Classic Electra Glide. This is the point where the countdown stops feeling like a search for cheap Harleys and starts feeling like a lesson in smart ownership. Because the Ultra Classic Electra Glide proves something many experienced riders eventually realize. Sometimes an older touring Harley makes far more sense than a brand new motorcycle costing twice as much. The Ultra Classic was engineered for relentless long-distance travel. Passenger comfort, highway stability, luggage capacity, and all-day ergonomics were not optional features here. They were the entire mission. And that purpose-driven design is exactly why so many of these motorcycles are still crossing states decades later. Used pricing tells the story immediately. Clean late evolution and twin-cam examples now commonly sell between roughly $5,500 and $10,500, depending on condition and service history. Considering the amount of touring capability involved, that remains extraordinary value. Engine generation matters enormously, though. Evolution-powered models earned legendary reputations for durability and mechanical simplicity, while twin-cam motorcycles require proper cam chain tensioner maintenance to avoid expensive neglect-related failures later. Thankfully, the Harley community understands these issues thoroughly today, and many properly maintained Ultra Classics routinely survive well beyond 100,000 miles. Buyers should still inspect suspension wear, charging systems, touring equipment, maintenance records, and evidence of careless ownership before purchasing. But what truly separates the Ultra Classic is the feeling of trust it creates. The motorcycle feels built for years of use rather than temporary excitement. Heavy, confident, deeply comfortable, and remarkably serviceable for such a substantial touring machine. The Ultra Classic Electra Glide earns respect because it turns enormous mileage into something surprisingly effortless, and for riders chasing cross-country comfort on a budget, few machines offer more for the money. But as these bikes age, some owners begin realizing that luxury touring equipment also means more electronics, more complexity, and more systems that eventually need attention. That concern naturally pushes practical, long-term buyers toward the next answer in this countdown. A motorcycle ERA many Harley veterans still consider the sweet spot between simplicity, durability, and affordability. Number 2, Harley-Davidson Evo Softail. This is the point where Harley ownership stops feeling like a purchase and starts feeling like a long relationship. Because the Harley-Davidson Evo Softail did something few motorcycles ever truly accomplish. It earned trust slowly, mile after mile until an entire generation of riders began viewing the Evolution engine as one of Harley-Davidson's greatest mechanical achievements. And decades later, that reputation still refuses to fade. Built from the mid-1980s through the late 1990s, the Evo Softail arrived during a critical moment in Harley history. Riders wanted classic American V-twin character, but they also wanted motorcycles capable of surviving real daily use without constant frustration. The Evolution engine finally delivered that balance. Reliability improved dramatically, oil control became far better, heat management stabilized, and ownership became noticeably less stressful than many earlier Harley platforms. That matters enormously today because clean Evo Softails can still realistically be found between roughly $4,500 and $9,000, depending on condition, originality, and service history. For many riders, that represents one of the best values anywhere in American motorcycling. And unlike many modern motorcycles overloaded with electronics and expensive systems, the EVO remains refreshingly straightforward. Independent mechanics understand these engines deeply. Aftermarket support remains massive, and replacement parts are still widely available after all these years. Buyers should still inspect carefully for charging system wear, oil seepage, cracked seals, neglected carburetors, and questionable old wiring repairs. Age always becomes part of ownership eventually, but once properly maintained, these motorcycles routinely survive decade after decade with remarkable loyalty. They are not machines people simply trade away after a few seasons. They become motorcycles riders hold on to, restore, protect, and sometimes even pass down through families. And in the world of overpricing and overmarketing, it is getting harder and harder to find motorcycles that actually deserve your money long-term. That is exactly why we stay obsessed with digging through the hype, exposing the machines that genuinely last, and helping riders avoid the kinds of expensive mistakes dealerships never warn you about. So if you want to support the channel even more, become a member for early access to upcoming videos, hidden used market gems, and deep dive motorcycle research. Most channels simply do not have the patience to make. The Evo Softail built its reputation the hard way. Decades of reliable service, mechanical simplicity, and a design that owners could realistically maintain in their own garages for years. But for riders searching for the single best balance of long-term comfort, proven reliability, affordable ownership, and real-world usability, even that legendary platform leaves one final door open. And behind that door waits the next machine. A Harley that combined the bulletproof reputation of the Evolution ERA with genuine touring comfort so successfully that many riders still refuse to replace theirs even today. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Evo Road King. And finally, we arrive at the Harley that may quietly be the smartest long-term purchase anywhere in the company's history. Not because it is the newest, not because it is the flashiest, but because the Evo Road King mastered something many modern motorcycles still struggle to achieve, delivering real touring comfort, proven durability, and manageable ownership costs all at the same time. That combination matters. Clean Evolution-powered Road Kings today can still realistically be found between roughly $5,500 and $10,000, depending on mileage, condition, and maintenance history. Considering what these motorcycles were built to do, that value is almost shocking. The Evolution engine earned legendary respect for mechanical simplicity, cooler operation, and long-term dependability. Paired with the Road King chassis, riders suddenly had a full-size touring Harley capable of crossing states for decades without drowning owners in electronic complexity or overwhelming repair costs. Buyers should still inspect charging systems, fork seals, suspension wear, oil leaks, and questionable wiring modifications carefully before purchasing. But once maintained properly, these motorcycles age with remarkable dignity. That is why so many owners keep them for years instead of seasons. Because the Evo Road King already proved itself where it matters most, out on real roads, across enormous mileage, through decades of actual ownership. And honestly, some Harleys look good for a few years. The machines on this list earned something far harder: trust after decades on the road. And the next video goes even deeper into the motorcycles riders swear they will never sell, no matter how old, how valuable, or how impossible they become to replace. Click the next video to continue the road trip. Join our tribe by subscribing. And if you want early access to the newest videos and deeper motorcycle breakdowns, become a member. And do not forget to like this video.